Don't miss what was uncovered in JRE number 2293 with Chris Williamson.
This is insane. Yeah, I was going to send this to you as well, Jamie. I'll send you one of the most comprehensive breakdowns of it on X because it's quite stunning. So apparently, through the use of LiDAR, they have discovered that there are enormous structures underneath the Great Pyramid that go kilometers deep into the earth with coils. So enormous pillars, and then these coils. They don't understand what it is because they're just looking at LiDAR images. But whatever this is a uniform structure. There's several pillars, and all of this is like very, very, very weird.
Yeah, it's 600 meters descending down those cylinders, and then there's more stuff below it, and then there's additional structures inside of it. Yeah, that was crazy.
It's really crazy. There's a guy, Jay Anderson, and he did a breakdown of it. Maybe this would be good. We could play this. It makes a little more sense when someone's explaining it to you.
Well, yeah, I mean, we need
Think about this for a second. Massive, hidden structures reaching deep beneath one of humanity's greatest mysteries, yet immediately dismissed as nonsense by officials. Is this just bureaucratic denial, or is someone trying to hide the truth? Keep watching, because the deeper we go, the stranger this gets.
There's an expert here, not me and you.
Zawi Hawass, by the way, has said it's nonsense. So I don't know.
Already?
Yes. According to Graham Hancock. This is the wonderful thing about having Graham
I texted Graham yesterday. I was like, yeah, what's going on with this?
Yeah, so click on that and go full screen, please.
How significant of a discovery this is.
Dun, dun, dun. I love the music. And geometry, so you know it's real.
You got to appreciate the dramatic intro.
Project Unity.
What has just been announced in relation to the pyramids at the Giza Plateau and the plateau itself is so incredible, so awe-inspiring and narrative shattering that I have been sitting here for the last hour trying to wrap my head around the implications of what we were just told. So this is pretty much breaking news because the new findings were announced on the 16th of March at a press conference held by the team who was studying the Great Pyramid of Giza with a non-invasive technology that was first developed by Filippo Bionde and Corrado Malanga, called synthetic aperture radar Doppler tomography.
Fuck, that's a
This
mouthful.
was used to explore the internal structure of the Great Pyramid of Giza. And this method leverages the analysis of micro movements typically generated by background seismic activity to achieve a high-resolution, full 3D tomographic imagery of the pyramid's interior and subsurface components. The recent findings from deploying this technology are nothing short of mind-blowing, because what's been discovered is that there are huge structures coming down from the base of the pyramid deep into the bedrock. In fact, over 600 meters deep, which then connects to structures that extend up to 2 kilometers below the surface of the ground. 2 kilometers. Massive internal structures connected to the base of the pyramid and extending deep, deep down. This is what we know so far.
What does your friend think about it?
Which friend?
The one that you said it's bullshit.
Oh, that's not my friend. That's Zawi Hawass.
Okay.
Zawi Hawass is the head of antiquities in Egypt. He's like the head guy that talks to the archaeologists and gives the official narrative. In the past, he's been extremely hostile to Graham Hancock, but Graham Hancock and him have now become friends.
Oh, yes. I
And
do
they're
know this guy.
coordinating. Graham is a lovely guy. People that like are enemies with him just need to get to know him and hang out with him. He's a genuine, real human being who's trying to find the truth. Let's go to the pyramid itself. So you have a very fascinating hypothesis as to what the pyramid, or theory, as to what the pyramid actually was. And it's based on where the supposed king's chamber is, where those passages go through into it. And what do you think that thing was?
Well, my first book, pretty much describes what I thought it was in 1998, which was a power plant. The book is entitled The Giza Power Plant. My second book has evolved, and I describe it as an electron harvester. So, you know, it's kind of like, you could describe it as both, but in today, when you do, or, you know, people...
Imagine an ancient civilization with technology to harness electrons, clean, pollution-free power, hidden for thousands of years beneath the Great Pyramid. Was this merely advanced engineering, or could there be a lost technology at play, something deliberately erased from history?
In any decade, they think of a power plant and they see these huge chimneys with, you know, smokestacks.
Or a nuke plant.
Yeah, or a nuke plant, you know, a power plant, dirty, nasty, unclean. But an electron harvester, clean, pollution-free, not a problem.
Has that been achieved conventionally? I mean, today? Is there a thing called an electron harvester?
I think that actually, when you look at a generator, that's an electron harvester, because we don't create electrons, we just harvest them. It's just how we do it, and so, you know, when you say an electron harvester, you could say that, you know, say a wind generator, you have a windmill, and you have a generator inside it, and then you're collecting electrons off the commutator in a generator.
And that's where the electricity comes from.
And that's your electricity.
Right. Or hydroelectric, you'd use the flow of the water.
Yeah, you don't create you just release them.
You harvest it from a process.
You harvest them through a process.
And the process that you think they used in the Great Pyramid involved those shafts?
It involves a lot of things. Yeah, it's not just one single thing. It's a system. Not a single thing. So when you look
Can we show a photo of that? Do we have a photo of the pyramids and the shafts and where the King's Chamber is, I know you've described this before. Do you have a photo of...
I do. It's in the...
I was trying to figure out which one you wanted.
Okay, this is perfect. This works.
Yeah,
So,
that works.
So these names, the King's Chamber and the Queen's Chamber, you don't think that that's actually a King's Chamber or a Queen's Chamber? You think it's something else?
Well, out of respect to the Egyptians, I
call it what they say
call
it is.
them. Yeah.
Okay.
But I do have a different terminology for them as they function.
Now, the initial surface of the Great Pyramid is covered in smooth limestone, right? So it's polished and shiny, and apparently it would collect insane amounts of light.
The outer surface of the Great Pyramid mostly is missing, and,
right?
But it has been described as if it was finished, and depending on the polish that it received, yeah, it could reflect a lot of light.
Do you think that had something to do with the design of this power plant?
I don't think there's any part of that pyramid that did not serve a practical function.
Okay, so this is the image that you have here, and what this image shows us is the King's Chamber, the various shafts, the southern shaft, the northern shaft, and these shafts have been described as portals to stars because people have looked up through there, and you go through the shaft, you see stars. But what you're saying is something entirely different. What do you think these shafts were for?
Well, I think they serve two different purposes. Actually, four different purposes, if you will, because in the theory that I propose, which is, I don't know, it's a speculation, a theory. Well, the whole process is kind of like a heuristic process where you're grabbing information.
Mysterious shafts, intentionally disconnected and hidden. Were these ancient engineers sloppy? Or, as some suggest, was this part of a deliberate design intended to perform functions we can't yet grasp? Did early explorers accidentally uncover something they weren't supposed to?
Moving here, doesn't matter what source you're getting it from.
Right.
Because when you are looking for answers, you look everywhere. You try and find, you look everywhere. So when I was going through the process of like trying to figure it out, I was collecting information from everywhere. And one of for the southern shaft and the northern shaft of the Queen's Chamber, that was a huge mystery to me, and I tried to fit it into what were they doing? I mean, if you look at the details, the facts of their design and what the ancient Egyptians were doing, why they designed them that way, you have two conduits coming into a chamber, but they're not connected to the chamber. And we didn't even know they existed until 1872 or Wayman Dixon.
Can you show me that image again, please? So they're coming into the chamber, but they don't enter into the chamber. So they stop.
Their original design had them the shafts ending 5 inches before coming into the chamber. So you had like 5 inches of limestone that was left in the block.
So did someone remove that limestone?
Yes.
Why did they do that?
Wayman Dixon, because they were examining the chamber and they were poking around. And Wayman Dixon, it is reported, so the legend goes, noticed a crack in the wall. And so he took a rod and pushed it through the crack. And the rod, it didn't meet any resistance, it kept going. So he had his a worker come in, Bill Grundy, with a hammer and chisel, and say, chisel the limestone around that.
God, people are stupid. So,
well, they did. Yeah, they didn't have ultrasonic thickness tech.
No, but still, God damn, to have the arrogance to go and chip away at the pyramid because you're curious.
Look at how I don't care for revisionist historians because you have to consider what people were doing, their mindset in the day, and then I try to look at on the bright side, right? It's like I don't look at it as a negative thing because if somebody hadn't opened up those shafts, we wouldn't know about them.
Right.
And it's the same with the chambers above the King's Chamber. Without Howard Vyse and his military expedition blasting his way up into the pyramid, we wouldn't know about them either. You won't be. I mean, there's a lot there. I think there's a lot there right now, and it's being investigated now. But there's things that have been revealed through scanning, like muography, the Scan Pyramid project. And they found that large void above the Grand Gallery.
Right.
And so,
which is larger than the King's Chamber, right?
It's longer than the King's Chamber, yeah.
And so that's not even represented here on this?
It's about the size of the cabin on a Boeing 707.
Wow. So if these shafts came through and then they met limestone at the end, what do you think was going on?
In order to answer that question, I had to look at the rest of the pyramid. Okay, what was it doing, and how was it functioning? And so one of the key pieces of evidence that I used to propose a process that was going on is the northern shaft. And the northern shaft has dimensions and has an appearance that is similar to a waveguide that you would use for microwaves. And the dimensions of it would approximate the wavelength of hydrogen.
So, explain a waveguide. How does that work?
Yeah, it's like a
Waveguides, electromagnetic waves matching wavelengths of hydrogen. This is sophisticated technology being described. Ancient civilizations supposedly lacked this knowledge. So how did they possess technology we've only recently understood? Could their knowledge have come from an outside source?
Waveguide is to transmit microwaves, electromagnetic energy, in the microwave region, and it is passed more efficiently through like a tube or waveguide, and that's what they use. I mean, they're very complicated systems,
And so how did this represent, in your mind, what a waveguide looks like?
Actually, the idea of a waveguide came to me from a guy. We were talking about the pyramids, and I used to carry a schematic of the Great Pyramid in my back pocket, and I meet an engineer and I go, hey, come here. I start going through. So what do you think about this? Because I was looking for answers, suggestions, brainstorming, anything, right? And it's like, so anyway, these shafts right here, and he looks at it, and he was into electronic engineering, and he's like, they look like waveguides to me. And I thought, well, that's interesting. They look like waveguides. Okay. What if they are waveguides? How did they function? I mean, what were they used for? What were they using waveguides for in ancient Egypt? And so I started to go down that rabbit hole, and that led me to the Queen's Chamber. I said, okay, waveguides. You need a medium. You need microwaves to go through a waveguide. What frequency of microwave was it, right? And you look at the dimensions, and you come up with a match for hydrogen. Oh,
how do you do that? How do you come up with a match for hydrogen through the dimensions?
Yeah. The wavelength of hydrogen is 8.309 inches, and the width of the northern shaft is 8.4 inches. And a waveguide generally has the wavelength and then about half of the wavelength in height. So it's a rectangular shaft.
Just like all the shafts are.
Right.
Yeah.
And the Queen's Chamber shaft is a little more square than the King's Chamber shaft.
So it had a different function?
Different function, yeah.
So these waveguides, you believe, what are they collecting? And where are they getting it from?
Good question, Joe. They had we are bombarded with microwaves every day. I mean, it's the signal from, they say, the Big Bang, and there's it comes from atomic hydrogen out in the universe, in outer space. But
so we're being bombarded, and you believe.
Could the pyramids have been part of an ancient power generation system far more advanced than historians dare admit? The implications are staggering. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching.
These passages, we're collecting this.
Yeah, so anyway, so then you say, okay, if we build a device and we say, and we want to energize hydrogen, we bring it to a higher energy state, and just like, in a laser, where you have microwave amplification through stimulated emission, right? So if we want to collect energy that is in a gaseous medium, say that is hydrogen medium, and the electrons in the hydrogen are pumped up to a higher energy state, and we want to collect the energy in that, introduce a microwave signal, direct it through that gas, and stimulate the emission of the energy, collect that energy, and shoot it up the southern shaft. And so that was like, okay, that might work.
So what kind of gas?
Hydrogen.
And so where are you getting the hydrogen from?
Queen's Chamber.
So there's hydrogen in the Queen's chamber, and how does it get in there?
The shafts. But it doesn't come in as hydrogen. That's a part of the theory in the Giza power plant was there are two chemicals that are introduced into the chamber, and the chemicals mix and they boil off hydrogen.
And these chemicals are just coming from the radioactive waves of space?
No. The chemicals, I believe, are manufactured and delivered to those shafts and coming.
Okay.
If you enjoyed today's episode on JRE Plus, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you.